Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off where the Marines go, so it's showing Marines with their pinup girls. We are now on to the Marines have landed November 21st, 1943, coming ashore at Tarawa. Despite enemy fire from the Japanese-controlled islands, these Marines of the 2nd Division waded through the surf off Tarawa. Landing boats and barges brought them to within 500 yards of the beaches, but the coastal bottom prevented the boats coming any closer to the shore. In the picture below, taken after the landings, a squad leader points out the spot where the Japanese were firing from, and the Marines, edging forward, opened fire on the foe and got them. So here we can see up here them wading through that the water about knee deep, so it's not too bad. It'd be annoying, you know, you'd have to lift your legs a little bit higher, try to use more energy, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world for these guys, but it would have been pretty annoying, I'm sure, especially the guys back there you can see that are all up to like about waist high. And then down here you can see squad leader pointing it out right there, the Marines getting closer. And as they said, got him. The situation is well in hand. November 21st, 1943. They weren't fooling. When these Marines went over the top from the beach on Tarawa Island, they knew they were going to have a fight on their hands. But they just set their jaws, as the picture top shows, and charged. So here you can see when there we go. Okay. You can see what they mean, kind of, right here with this guy. If it wants to. There we go. You can see right there, his jaw is locked in. A lot of these guys are just getting locked in. They're ready to go. In the bottom picture, hold on, I gotta find that again. The Marine standing over the pack howitzer, right there, is wearing a helmet with 2 holes in it. The hole in the side was made as a bullet entered, and the one in the front as it left. The smoke is caused by powder from their own guns. So, I'm trying to see if we can... It says... standing over, so right here, there's a hole there and a hole there, and that guy's just like, yeah, I'm good. Can you imagine that, getting shot like that and just, oh yeah, I'm good, helmet's good, we're all good. Horrifying. A touch of home in the Pacific. November 1943. Dog attends conference. Oh, look at the dog, he's just a little sleepy. When Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, Commander-in-Chief, United States Pacific Fleet, held a press conference at his Pearl Harbor headquarters, November 29th, 1943, his Schnauzer pup, Makalapa, sat quietly throughout under the desk of the Admiral's feet. It was at this press conference that Admiral Nimitz told of the success by our forces routing the Japanese in the Gilbert Islands. Captain P.V. Mercer, Admiral Nimitz's aide and Assistant Chief of Staff, is at his left. So that guy right there. But yeah, there's Nimitz. And yeah, just look at the dog. Oh, it's just a little sleepy dog. He's so sleepy. It's just like, I'm just gonna take a little nap. I'm just gonna take a little nap, Pa. You just do your conference. Oh boy. So just bear with me. It's gonna be a little long. The conference in Cairo, November 23rd, 1943. Heads of 3 powers meet. Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek, President Roosevelt, and Prime Minister Churchill are shown as they met in Cairo during the last week of November to plan the ultimate offensive against the Axis and to decide what to do with Germany and Japan when they were crushed. the president and prime minister never met the generalissimo until they shook hands in Cairo. The three men, accompanied by 300 top war leaders of the three nations, reshaped the future of the Orient. One of the largest empires ever put together was doomed at the conference. In the last half-century, Japan had brought under its dominion a large portion of the human race, inhabiting lands 3 million square miles in extent. The leader of the three allies pledged their three nations to strip away these conquests and drive the Nipponese back into their home island. When the pledge is fulfilled after serious and prolonged operations, Japan will Japan will be no larger, than California. Instead of being a world conqueror, Japan will be reduced to the status of a third-rate power. Her ability to make war would be wiped out automatically. She would lose the indispensable raw material acquired from Manchuria and the South Seas. She would lose the island bases necessary to give her fleet long-range striking power. The generalissimo, who spoke only a little English, brought his wife to be his interpreter and advisor. And she was the only woman in the inner circle of the conference. As for China itself, the Cairo conference came as a life-giving tonic. Now, China, for the first time since medieval days, was formally recognized as one of the great powers of the world, in status of full equality. She would be freed from Japan's armed tutelage and, presumably, from Occidental pressure as well. The Cairo Conference came at a time when the restoration of morale was badly needed in China. The long, hard war against the Japanese had brought the nation to the point of exhaustion, and the United Nations policy of winning the war in Europe first had made it impossible for China to get the relief she needed. National morale was at a low ebb in China, and it was felt that the meeting might serve to stimulate it. So, as we know, Mr. Chiang Kai-shek, he is in charge of China for a little bit, not for much longer. After the war, basically the civil war kicks back off in China between Chiang Kai-shek's government and Mao Zedong's government. Mao Zedong's government obviously conquers all of mainland China, and then Chiang Kai-shek goes to the island of Taiwan, and that is why today there is the differentiation between Taiwan and China, why they both claim to be the real China, and why that whole conflict even exists. It's because it's the leftovers from the Chinese Civil War in the I believe it was the 1940s, late 1940s, and but I think right here at this conference, it should have been guaranteed to Chiang Kai-shek that maybe the Allies would help him, but that's not for me to decide. That was for the Chinese people to decide, and they chose Mao Zedong's government. On the whole, they chose his government. Well, not on the whole. A decent portion of them chose it. Not all of them, but a decent portion did. And so, that's why we have the China of today. Interlude in the Cairo Conference. November 23rd, 1943. The Chiangs visit the pyramids. Chiang Kai. Chiang, yeah, you know what I mean. Honorary name. During the Cairo Tripartite Conference, Generalissimo and Madame Chiang Kai-shek toured the pyramids area. The pyramids area. Here, Madame Chiang is shown as she substituted a British jeep for the national camel. substituted the British Jeep for the National Camel. The Generalissimo, who only spoke a little English, brought his wife along to the Cairo conference to be his interpreter and advisor. And she was the only woman in the inner circle of the conference. However, on a visit to the pyramids, they listened in comparative silence as Haji Ali, number 1, the Arab dragon man, or guide, gave his lecture on the antiquities of the number 1 wonder of the world, which includes especially the Pyramid of Cheops and the Sphinx. In the picture below, Generalissimo, in his black robe at the head of the procession on the far left, is Major General Chenault. The American officer in the khaki shirt shown at the right is Major General Ralph Royce. So there's Mr. Chiang Kai-shek, Ralph Royce, and I believe that guy right there. It's either that guy or this guy. I'm not sure which. That guy did not want his picture being taken, but this guy here should be Major General Chenault. Or that guy? One of the two. But it's interesting. We don't get to see much of Chiang Kai-shek in these pictures. They don't really talk, especially in American schools. They barely talk about Chinese involvement in this war, which is very weird because, I mean, China fights this war with Japan way longer than even what we would consider World War II is going on. They start the war with, it started with Japan much earlier. So it's kind of weird that they just don't talk about it, but it's nice to see these pictures because people need to remember that China did play a role in this war. Germans on the Pripyat Marshes. November 23rd, 1943. Fighting on the Pripyat Marshes. On November 27th, there was heavy fighting on a 100-mile front at the Pripyat Marshes. The Germans, trying to retreat towards Poland, were much hampered by the nature of the country. They were forced to build wooden tracks over which light loads could be pulled in horse-drawn vehicles. The top picture shows a flooded highway over the Pripyat Marshes with wrecked vehicles lining the roadside. So you can see all right here. And right there, even those carts. And then below, German transport column of horse-drawn wagons crosses the Pripyat Marshes over the crudest kind of an impromptu wooden track. So we can see right here. And yeah, one of the Soviet Union's greatest advantages and one of Russia's greatest advantages back in the Russian Empire days is its land. I mean, even now still, one of the best defensive things is the land. The land is just, especially when it gets marshy, it's awful. Not conducive for an army. Even nowadays, it's not very conducive for an army. So people that live there, they understand the land a lot better, so they can more adapt to it, where people that are invading, as the Germans did, not so great. So yeah, they have to build these impromptu wooden bridges, which don't look very good, but it's the best they can do. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.